I want to actually just rewind a little bit. A moment ago, we were breaking the news surrounding what is happening with the third shots, now likely to be rolled out in the United States. A response to what is happening with Delta, which is rolling across the United States at a fairly ferocious pace. Can you just give me a kind of instant update as to how your businesses are adapting to what is happening on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, we'll focus on safety first. I think it's pretty critical. That's what every company needs to do. The real interesting thing is we are rolling back the clock, right? So if you think about in March of 2020, we really put in safety procedures and really started to evolve to this omni-channel approach, which I'll unpack. But our US business last year had one of the best years they've ever had in history. So our teams, we call them Krispy Kremers, are very capable of adjusting and moving towards where the customers are, which is a very different model. So we use our hot light shops and then make sure we use points of access to get to customers where they are, whether that's in a fresh shop, whether that's in e-commerce, or whether that's in a grocery business. And that, especially as you think about a pandemic and unknown, gives a lot more certainty of how our business can fluctuate and work, not just in the US and Canada, but around the world.
Can you do that? Because it seems like in that way you would be a stay-at-home stock and a recovery stock. You could play it, in essence, both ways. Can you do that and actually continue to grow your margins while your input costs rise?
Yeah, so think about it. So first off, Q2 is one of the best quarters the company's ever had, and I thank all the Krispy Kremers. The transformation of what that's happened, and I'll unpack these, will just be, we took a majority ownership in our international business, and took 85% of the U.S. control of the U.S. The next transformational piece is actually building this omni-channel model. So you use your hot light shops to, send donuts to where the customers are. It's a frequency play, and then when we build these points of access, and the biggest one there will be about in the grocery and convenience business. So making sure that we can get the donuts there, the frequency, will drive that awareness. We like to keep our hot light shops. There's only 400 in the world, or a little less than that. We want to keep them special. We can use the hot light, we can use the glazers, and then it's getting donuts to where they are. The specialty and occasions, we sell by dozens. We do have pricing power, so we can manage that through. We still want to have an accessible price point. And clearly we're global, and we saw actually how it really worked in our international business. They had an outstanding second quarter. You can see how that model from access really works. They're really driven. They're newer. They're about, on average, some of them are 16, 17 years old. So they were built in mind with an omni-channel approach, and you can see how that access really works for them.
Okay. Michael, let's just kind of develop what happens next, though. Alix brought up the issue of rising input costs. That's certainly a factor that many companies are having to deal with right now. How big a factor is it for you? And if those costs are rising significantly, is that going to crimp your ability to invest in that omni-channel approach?
So again, when we think about a 10 to 12% growth rate, we have a lot of growth packs. So we are hedged in a lot of our food costs, except for edible oils. So we do have pricing power. The uniqueness is about, this is not an individual occasion, right? So we sell in dozens. It's an accessible price point. We'll continue to invest, particularly as we start to build out the omni-channel model in the grocery segment. And when we have the same price point now and the same fresh donut, we stand out. So it's a unique aspect. So we do believe, and we've seen it, even in many of our countries, that it's actually working.
Hey, Michael, how much have you raised prices in this last year, and how much do you think you're going to have to raise them next year?
I won't get into too much of where we're going to take pricing from forward, just because of the competitive nature, but we've raised about 4% so far this year.
And you've had no trouble doing that?
No, if you think about how we can actually make that statement is, as we went to the fresh product and we went to the wholesale channel and the delivered fresh donut business, so the cabinets that you'll see in select grocers, select shops, there was a price range that happened there. So there's pricing consistency across the channels, and the consumers accepted it, right? So that's where we can see, here's how we can see how we evolve forward.
Michael, are the Krispy Kremers getting pay rises right now? How's the labor market?
They are. We continue to look at, we will compete in every channel or in every area that we are across the world. We didn't furlough the majority of our, around the world, our employees. So culturally, that made a huge impact. But this omni-channel model, we're looking at drivers, we're looking at donut makers, we're looking at frontline folks. It's a big growth story. So when people come into a company that has beyond just where they are and they have a career, they're looking at Krispy Kreme. You will always be competing in a market where everybody's looking at the best talent, and we will actually go and make sure that we can do that as well.
When you're hiring right now, what's the biggest hurdle in you filling the right positions?
I think the biggest challenge right now, there's one opportunity out in the marketplace today would be drivers to do the route system, right? That's a very competed space. But when they see the opportunity of just beyond driving, we're able to bring on folks. So we might have a momentary, pause, but we absolutely are able to attract a lot of folks. We just brought in 1,700 folks, Krispy Kremers last quarter. We'll continue to bring in folks as we continue to build the business.
How many of the team are vaccinated right now, Michael?
Again, from a shop perspective, we don't get into folks can either they're vaccinated and they're wearing a mask, so we're not really tracking that at the shop perspective. By county or by city, they're required in New York, they'll all be vaccinated, right? So that's how we look at it.